Hello, hello, hello. How are you doing today? I'm sure you're having a great day. This is Men's Booth, a place where we talk about men, real talk. You know, a place where we talk about those things that men are shy to talk about. Those things that they used to tell us when we were much younger, those days when we had elders sit us down and explain certain things to us. Those kind of gatherings are no longer available right now. But guess what? We're bringing it back. But we're bringing it back from God's perspective. We want you to be that God man, that man that God wants you to be. This is Men's Booth. We'll be going on a break now. We'll be back shortly, and I'll introduce you to the rest of the crew, and we'll dive right in. See you soon.
Men's Booth.
Welcome back. Now we're going to go through the crew. We're going to meet the men in today's Men's Booth. Now, I'll allow you to introduce yourself. Let's start from you.
I'm Jay Preach the Preacher Man. I'm a fashion designer and I'm a gospel minister. God bless you.
Okay, and I'm the ambassador, Paul Bassa, and of course, OAP, stand-up comedian, everything. But of course, most importantly, I'm a man. That's true.
Yo. My name is Charles Osobase. I'm the Ray Man. I'm a Christian too.
Yeah, thank you guys. So we're going to be talking about a few things today, but we're going to start from the very head of the needle or the very head of the arrow. For us, this is Men's Booth. And the very first thing we're going to be talking about is what is your understanding of a man? Who is a man? What is a man? And don't forget that we're looking at man from the God perspective. Who is a God man? Then we can now bring it down to what is a man in this realm. Then we can now go further, digging about different things about him. But let's start first and foremost. Who is a man? Let's allow you start first.
No, let me start from the headers.
All right, so the elder.
I like the way you did it because it was more like passing the torch. So I think let me also draw. I want to draw strength from my bros. But sincerely, should be said, a man is not just because you were born and you came to the world and that you had the capacity to have beards or to have mustache or to have sides, anything at all about, or have some baritone voices or anything. But a man is one that, you were born into the world. And remember, first and foremost, our dear man God have taught us something. He said, who is a man? He said, man is a spirit, he has a soul, he lives in a body. That is generic.
Yeah.
And
That's mankind.
That's mankind. And
Yes.
it could be either, we're talking about male or female. Because
yes.
male and female, there's no this thing at that point. That's the man.
Okay,
But for me, I look at the man is one that is, from that perspective, first and foremost, from his spirit man first.
Yeah.
Because start from the spirit. And this man, first and foremost, comes from God.
Yes.
That means the man hails from God, origin from God. And he is now on earth. And so the body is the one that is now taking the shape of what is supposed to take place or do to carry out activities here on earth.
Yeah.
So the man from spirit to carry out activities here on earth. So that's why I see my own perspective of who the man is.
Yeah.
So start from your spirit, then your body. Of course, before I get to the soul and everything, the soul now comes to the character and the characteristics. What are the things? What are the things that make you, that define you? Talk about the voice, the things that you carry, and your shape and all those things, the physical features. That's for me. So for me, all of those aspects of it, I like to say from the spirit, soul lives in the body, then aspect of that. That's what a man is.
Okay. Brother Charles, let's hear.
Wow. He just hit the nail on the head, right?
Yeah.
Really, if we want to talk about a man, we start from how did man come into being?
Yes.
Because if we don't know the origin of a man, of the term man, it may be difficult for us to define who the man really is.
Yeah.
So I would draw my conclusions or sections from the Bible when God said in the book of Genesis, He said, "Let us make man in our own image and in our likeness." Meaning, God made man in His own image to be exactly like Him. God is a spirit, just as He has said, and He made man a spirit man
First.
first,
Yes.
and He gave him a body because the Bible also made us to understand that he took clay and molded a man. He breathed into him and called him Adam.
Yes.
So that was the first man.
Yeah.
So really, man is first a spirit who lives in a body, then have a soul. But biologically, man also, because man, God gave that same creature he made, he gave him a name. And there are some distinct features he put in him, which differentiates the man from the animals, differentiate the man from the woman. Because later he said, I found none of these things I've created compatible for you. So he made a woman out of a man. So there are distinctive features that differentiate the man biologically from animals and from the woman. So man is a male gender of mankind.
Great.
Yeah. So I'll stop there for now.
All right, so you want me to go first? Okay,
Yes.
fine. All right, so the verse of scripture that you were referring to was in Genesis 1 from verse 18 to 23,
Okay.
actually, well, to 23, where it talked about how God looked at man and saw that man needed a helpmate, and there was none suitable amongst all that was created. And God now caused Adam to fall into a deep sleep, right? And the first surgery was performed, where
Sure.
God opened man, brought out a piece of him. They call it a rib.
Yeah.
In biology, you could call it DNA. Brought out the man's DNA, and from the
DNA.
DNA from the man, he was able to produce a woman, one that was suitable for a man, you know. Then it now goes down. So at that point, man now, from mankind, now became the male gender, like you mentioned, and it now went on. Then he gave man responsibilities, right? Now, as we go through, you'll find that that responsibility have now gotten to the point where man is now being defined by his responsibility.
True.
Sure.
True.
Right? So now, in this day, when you talk about who's a man, the first thought that goes into people's minds are the responsibility of that man.
Yeah.
Not just the gender anymore. Now, before we even go to the responsibility, now we've gotten to the time in an age, an era where even the idea of a man is being misconstrued. Like we're having conversation before we went live, where we're talking about the mindset of a man.
True.
Right? So there is such a thing as a mindset, right? Now we get to the point where if a girl child have the mindset of a man, does it now becomes a man?
No.
But society will not agree with you.
Yeah.
You can say no, but they would not agree with it. As a matter of fact, they would throw tantrums and diss you, go on social media and call you out that how dare you. But having a mindset, is that all that makes you a man? Or let's put it this way, if you do not meet up with the responsibilities of a man, does that make you less a man?
Not at all. Not
Really?
At all. Not at all.
Okay.
Because it's just like before we came on set,
Yeah.
we had an extension. Do you understand? And that wasn't really working.
Yes.
But how did you say this extension is not working, right?
Yeah. You didn't call it another name.
We didn't
The
give it
extension is
another
just power,
name.
power
Extension
sockets
is just
now.
power socket.
Yes.
It's supposed to extend power to
Yeah.
other source.
Yeah.
But because it was faulty, did it change its name? No.
No.
It remained an extension, right? That's the same way it is. God created you to be a man. The gender is there. You can't take away your gender.
You know the
Even
funny
if-
thing, as you were talking, what just crossed my mind is the mindset of sin and righteousness.
Yeah.
You know, it's the same thing that people carry into that same environment where, okay, now you are being called of God, now you're a child of God, you're giving your life to Christ. Then you think that you did something, and all of a sudden that something that you did disqualifies you from being God's child. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So you think
Yeah.
it's your deed that
Yeah.
defined you as
You.
a child of God. Now, something that brought that clarity to me was one time I was listening to Pastor Chris, and Pastor Chris said something. He says, your son name, let's say your son name is Mike, right? He said, what are you going to do that's going to change your son name from being Mike? The day you gave your life to Christ, you became John Christ, Sam Christ,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
What do you think you're going to do that's going to change you from being Christ? Same way, you were born a male. What feeling do you think that disqualifies you from being a male? Do you
Yeah,
get it?
yeah.
No, when people relegate the manhood to become a feeling or a mindset, then it starts getting confused. And it's that confusion that we're trying to clear. Okay, yeah, you're supposed to have a job, a good job. You're supposed to take care of your family. But guess what? Right now, you don't have a job.
And they say because you're not doing that, then I tell you that you're not a man.
You're not a man.
You know, because you don't meet up to, you know, this the cliche of the society. You know, somehow you now find out that the male gender is faced with some kind of. That's why sometimes you hear that some men enter into some suicidal thoughts.
Yes.
And that's just because there's too much pressure in itself naturally. Because from natural idea is when you were born. First and foremost, you were born, you were a child. If your child is born, okay, male or female, from the child. Next thing, there's going to be much pressure on the child to get you to. When are you go to walk? You have not said walking. Your mates are saying walking. Or before you walk, it has to creep. Then, okay, from creeping to standing to walking, and all of a sudden you say walking. Okay, when we start running, it begins to run. Okay, when I go to enter the primary school, when we get to primary school, secondary school, got secondary school like that, university, out of job, and all the things. So the pressure comes in different dimension. What we need to see now is that the man. As long as you're a man, first and foremost, I would say that about it's how you were created by God. So when it comes to responsibility, it's now, you take it, that is another level to say whether, somebody say, he's a boy, it's a sentence.
Yes.
But he's a very good boy, it's a statement.
Yeah.
So at that point, you find out that it is not just about the whether he has the chest or everything, that is man. But when he begins to know that he is a very good boy, it means he has to step up to the responsibility of providing, of meeting up what he's supposed to do. But sometimes if you don't meet up, that means he's irresponsible. That's why sometimes he's irresponsible. Doesn't make him less of a man. It doesn't make him less of a man. So at that point, you don't put pressure on the child. Because like I said, okay, your mate, some people will say, your mate, I've said working, your mate, your fellow man is doing this. At those points, you see that there's already
Some form of
some
pressure.
form of pressure and
Negative pressure.
Negative pressure. And one thing about it is that, remember, the vibe of the person feels, you are what you hear, what you think, what you meditate upon, and what you say. At that point now, you are giving him negative vibes. You're telling him that you're not man enough. You're not up to standard. You're everything. He begins to think that he's less. At that point now, you see the feeling now comes in, and when he's not ruled by his feelings, there's trouble. So we do not want that. Rather, I want to say that what you need to do is to ensure that you do the things that you want.
Wow. Now, when you were talking, right, something went through my mind, and we're going to talk about it when we return from break. We'll go on a break right now, and when we return, then I'll just clear out some of the things that went through my mind. Thank you. So we'll be right back shortly. Thank you.
Men's Booth.
Welcome back. Now, before we went on the break, we were talking about man and the different aspects and what's expected of man. Now, while he was talking, I thought about something. So there is man, and there is what I'll coin to be the office of a man, right? There are two different things. You see, it's like a sinner and a sin.
Yeah.
Do you understand? So there is a man, and there is the office of a man. Now, the office of the man is where you talk about the
I was waiting for that
responsibility of the man.
definition. I thought you were just going to jump right into just man without really, because hearing you guys speak earlier, you know, I was just wondering. I heard him saying or trying to amplify manliness or manhoodness, if I may. And he says when first you're born, you'd crawl, and then at that crawling stage you're expected to do certain things. If those things are not met, your parents will begin to worry, and then you grow into adolescence before puberty and all of that, and then adulthood. And at adulthood there are things expected of you. So there is the man in the man.
Yes.
And at that moment when I heard him talk, I said, that is the responsibility, the office of the man. So when you said there is the man and the office, I said,
Okay,
so guys, how you guys doing?
Good to see you, man.
Good to see you, man. Good to be on the
Good,
set.
man.
You look dark.
So Jay, you want to say something?
Okay, I think I need to come in. Yeah, from my own side, first of all, God said He created man in His own image, which means we are God representative. In whatever we do, we represent God.
Yeah.
And when I'm done with this, I want to ask a question.
Okay.
Now, which means our lifestyle, the things we do, has to be in the ways of God.
Yeah.
And there's a word in the Bible that said the greater one lives inside of you. So which basically, if the greater one lives inside of you, it means God lives inside of you. It means you are a God. So you represent God, but you have a human body. Now, the question I want to ask, which means God produce, because we are the product of God. Now, if a man can get his wife or make his wife get pregnant, because in a layman language, we believe for you to be able to make your wife conceive,
So you want to go there?
man.
You want to go there? You want to go there?
You are a complete man. So if you can make your wife conceive, are you considered to be a man?
Now, remember at the beginning when we started talking about man, we talked about what makes the man a man. Is it his responsibilities, or is it the fact that he's the male version, the male,
A male person.
yeah,
A male human.
a male
Yes, a
human.
male human.
What makes him a man? Let's start from there, because remember I also said, because we mix it up, we tend to put pressure where there ought not to be pressure. True. Right? So first, to answer your question, what makes a man a man? Not the office of the man. What makes a man a man? Is a male gender of mankind. Are you a male gender of mankind? Yes. So it answers the question of you being a man. So get the issue of, are you a man? That question shouldn't be a question, because if you ask me, are you a man? I'll say, look at me. That should answer the question. Now, in terms of the office of being a man, then you now say, okay, as the male representative in this office, the head, or the one that should produce the seed that should now procreate, it's a different matter, and that could come as a result of different things. Now, rather, let's narrow it down to what you just said. Now, you have a man and a wife, and for some reason the man is not able to impregnate the wife. That's what you're talking about. Should he be called a man? He is a man.
So I'd like to ask, and then maybe we could get some clarity. You remember the story in the Bible where the woman who was married to Sarah?
Woman
Yes.
who was married to Sarah.
Yes. For 90 years. You know the story of the Bible.
Yes.
Who was married to Sarah?
Yes.
Yeah.
A woman that
Was it a woman?
It wasn't the woman.
It was who?
It was a man.
It was a man.
His name was what?
His name was what? And for 90 years, what was his condition?
Okay, for me,
For 90 years, what was his condition?
they couldn't have a baby
For how many years?
for 90 years.
For
I
90
guess.
years.
So how
right?
did God address him?
Okay.
As a woman,
Now,
because he couldn't have a child for 90 years, or
Okay,
he
now,
still addressed him as
if you
man?
want me to answer that from my own perspective,
Yes, shoot.
Okay, the man in question
Yes.
is not just an ordinary man.
Oh, fantastic. I knew you were going to go here.
Yeah, the
Let's
man
go.
in question
What kind
is
of
not
man
just-
is he?
He's a spiritual man. He's an intellectual spiritual man that God was using to manifest His power.
Great. Now, please, before you go further, what are you now?
I'm a man. I'm a spiritual, intelligent man.
Are you born again?
Of course I
Are you
am.
spirit-filled?
Of course I am.
Are you a God man?
Of course I am.
Are you different from what Abraham, you just described Abraham different?
Okay, so I think with what you just said, let me just
Yes.
quickly just chip in so that before you continue.
Yes.
Something happened that the Bible talked about that in John chapter 9, that Jesus was walking and he met a man that was blind, and they said, what happened? That this man, they asked Jesus, they say, why is this man, why is he blind? Why was he born blind? Is this his fault or his parents' fault?
Yes.
You know that way, and you got to the point. Jesus made a statement, very distinct statement in verse 4. He said, no, it's not his parents' fault or this man's fault, but that the work of God will make manifest.
Yes.
God bless you.
The work of God will make manifest. At that point, he said, as long as I'm in this world, I'm light of the world. Then he now declared, and the Bible said he made spittle, put on the man's head, and something happened. In the midst of that the work of God will make manifest in him. So we've seen times without number, both in the Bible and the present
Yes,
time.
yes.
Even when a man, it's okay, it's man, sometimes in the natural sense, or sometimes in the pressure of society, they tell a man that now man you marry, because they say now man and man you marry, you know go fit born.
They tell a woman.
They tell a woman.
Yeah.
They tell a woman a man you marry, you understand that kind of thing. But we've seen that it's not about whether that a person cannot procreate. But the idea is that no matter what the situation the person is, that the work of God will be made manifest.
Yes.
That is key. And over time, it has always proven that way.
Yes.
So at that point, it means that the solution could come. Because why? First,
could come.
no, it has come already.
It's
Will
there.
It will definitely come.
Now,
Do you get?
So let me even read a portion of the Bible. from Genesis chapter 1 from verse 27. It says, so God created man in his own image, and in the image of God created he him. Male and female created he them. And God blessed them. I'm reading verse 28 now.
Yes.
And God blessed them. And God said unto them, be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth, and subdue it, and have dominion over it. If God has blessed his creation, you are blessed. Irrespective of any other situation you would have found yourself. When God created man, he blessed him, and he said words unto him. He said, go, replenish the earth, be fruitful, and multiply, subdue the earth. So those words are following every man on the face of the earth. Those blessings reside in every man on the surface of the earth. Let's not even go about talking about the medical side, maybe from vaccinations and all of that, that could even impair reproduction today. But as a blessed child, as every created man, every man that God has created is inherent in him to reproduce and to replenish the earth. That's it.
So a question, a man of God asked, okay, a man went to his man of God one time and he had issues similar to what you just described. And he said to the man of God that he does not know what is happening, that he's been married to his wife for about 5 years now and they've not been able to produce a child. And the man of God said, really? He said, yes. He said, so what's the issue? The man of God wanted to know what the issue was. He said, that he just told him now, 5 years they've not given birth to a child. And the man of God said, I heard that part. What's the issue? He said, that, Pastor, 5 years we've been married, we've not given birth to a child. And the pastor said, okay, sorry, maybe I'm missing something. Are you a Christian? Say yes. Who is your God? And the guy said, Pastor, I don't understand. You're my pastor and I've got God. He said, is your God the God of Abraham? He said, yes. He said, how many years did Abraham wait for his own child? He said 90. He said, did God pull through? He said, yes. He said, are you 90 years old already? He said, no. He said, so where is the problem in this conversation? Do you get that? If you say you are descendant of Abraham, and Abraham, 90 years, had not gotten a child, you are not even up to 90 years old. God still met his request, even at age 90. God,
even in the midst of doubt.
Yes,
even in the midst of
doubt, even in the midst of all the challenges.
Yeah.
Now, in Abraham's case, it was both Abraham and the wife that had issues. Do you understand? So it was not even one-sided. So medically speaking, forget it. Even at age 90, so old age added to it. So apart from the medical case, old age added to it. With all these
doctors today will say they have attained menopause.
Yes. They've crossed all the lines that ought to be crossed. So in the realm of that, in the realm of all that, God pulled through. And if you say that is your God, then this conversation is not a conversation. Because it will only become a conversation when you have exceeded 100 years old.
Yeah.
And God has not pulled through for you. They say, Abraham did not get to 100 years old. He got to 90 when God did it. Man, I've gotten to 100. Then we can have it as a conversation. Hence why the pastor asked him, so what is the issue?
What's the issue?
What's the
and he
issue?
couldn't place his hand on it.
Yes.
He couldn't, because there was no issue really.
There was no
you know. So that we don't change the topic to menopause and womenopause, let's stick with the definition of man. Who really is a man? And when we're looking at who is a man, we're not just looking at it from one angle, the spiritual angle or the angle. We're looking at it in the life angle.
Yes.
Because as a man, you've got the spirit. Yes. You've also got the society that the man lives in. You also want to know, how does the society see a man? That is where, that is where we begin to have different contentions, different notions about who really is a man. We've tried to decipher that, how the society sees a man. And I heard him say, you're not man enough. I also hear you say, certain responsibilities are expected of you. And when you're not forthcoming with those responsibilities, they say, you're not man enough. So we've tried to bring it from the angle of the Bible. Who is man enough? I think that should be where we're going to. Who is really man enough?
True.
So I'd like to start with Charles. Now, looking at a man in the streets, and then you look at him and you hear someone say, he is not man enough. I'd like for you to tell me, the person who is calling this man not man enough, what is the person seeing
That's making him say
that
so.
whether he's a Christian or a Muslim or from any other religion, what is the person seeing that probably I'm not seeing as a Christian, you're not seeing as a Christian? Could you decipher for me? That man on the street is being seen by another man on the street, and he says to him, "You're not man enough."
Masha, I'm shocked that you just started from me. But it doesn't really matter. No.
You look in the hierarchy of things, you look more.
No.
Interesting.
I'm man enough to answer your question.
Thank you.
So just like you threw the question to me, who is not man enough, or what do people see
Good.
that make them say he or him is not man enough? Several things, really. You know, the society is a kind of a complex, and you know, they calculate you as a man with several factors.
Several yardsticks.
Yes, several yardsticks. Your being measured as a man is dependent on several factors. First, the today man is being measured by how much money he has. Society, how much money he has.
So
how
when you
much
see Babalowo,
influence.
he's a man.
Yeah.
This is a man.
How
In fact,
much
some people say he's
influence?
the man.
Man, how much influence does he have? Then some persons will say, what legacy can you leave behind for your people? Either for your children, for your family, and when those things are not there, they'll say, this man is not man enough. Do you understand? There are certain things the society requires of you. But when you are not meeting up to those things, you are not meeting up to your responsibility, you are not meeting up to what they intend to see in you, they can say, this man, I beg, this guy not reach anything now. So I think that's where I'll come from.
In a place where you have two men or a couple,
Yeah.
you know, man and a woman, and you find the woman, you find them in disagreement over something that we can really place our hands on, and you find the woman being more loud or louder than the man in the argument. You find the woman being more domineering. You find the woman, you know, leading the entire argument, and then the man is just there. Man of God, I'd like you to tell me what would be expected or should be expected from the man in that instance who is man enough.
Okay.
A man who is man enough in that instance.
In that instance.
How should he react? Because I mean, we've got millions of people watching us
Yeah.
now, and
Yeah.
and I know that in certain relationship marriages, you know, some men want to be man enough in their marriage, especially when there's a conflict of interest
My brother,
between them.
Let me just put it in this. Let me start with this. This is in the saying, the parallel the saying, don't worry. Face of fear. And I make Kochukode for hospital now.
First to fear.
Face of fear. Face your fear.
Face of fear.
Now I make Kochukode hospital.
Because as you face in fear,
Because you know, you listen to what people are
hammer
saying. As you just listen to what people say. See, if you're a man, if you're a real man, you put her in place. Put her in a place. What did the Bible say? I used to be in that kind of class where I thought that, you know, anywhere you go to, you show that you are domineering
You
because
should
of where
face
you're
your
coming
fear.
from. You have to stop your
Even his own
authority.
person, they face his
You know
fear.
that kind of thing. You face, do everything. But this is one thing I saw. It was when I came across the scripture. The Bible says that it said greater is he that controls his spirit than he that takes up a city. I like to take it slowly. Greater is he that controls his spirit than he that takes up a city. Back in the days, in the Bible days, why did they say David was bigger than even King Saul? They say King Saul killed 1,000, but David tens of thousands, and he was called a mighty man. So he was hailed for taking up cities physically. But the Bible says that he that controls his spirit man is greater than he that takes up a city. That you shout and you bark and everything does not mean I must go back to back. I must not respond. So what? Our demon have taught us something. Engratia. At that point, the Bible says what? Be quick to listen, yet gentle to speak.
Yes.
You are quick to listen. You hear what's happening. I hear you. But in my response to you, I would think about it, process the thought. So when I speak, Bible rightly say that he has given us the mouth of the learned to speak words of of grace to him that is weary at heart.
So in that instant, the man that is man
At
enough.
that point, the man that is man enough.
that
Let me
is-
tell you something. At that point, the instant, the man that is man enough, you don't respond back. You are calm, because in your calmness, you will calm the troubled waters. Let me just
And
tell
the
you,
man in you.
the
will
man
comfort.
in you in itself, the man in you, I'm telling you, that's where the respect will come. Have you ever seen natural scenario? Let's just natural scenario. I come now, I'm looking at Sam, I say, how dare you? How on earth? And I'm shouting and Sam's just looking at me. It doesn't say a word. Do you know what comes to my mind? Like, what's happening? What is it? I'm now thinking, what make this guy think like that? Why is he quiet? Because I know that I can't decipher what's there.
So we are able to, get out enough information about who really is a man, or who really is man enough in this particular episode. I'd really like us to touch, several areas. Like he said, on the instance of two men on the street and one says you're not man enough. You, on the instance of husband and wife, and the people say, look at him, they're quarreling, he's not man enough. We've been able to know who is really man enough in that instance. There are several other instances, like an instance of husband and wife, couples, and they have a particular gender dominating amongst their offsprings. We would really want to know when the husband says, I need a boy who will take over. Really, in that instance, what is what should a man be looking for in that instance? But I guess we're already out of time, aren't we?
We are out of
We
time.
should be somewhere else at this instance. So I'll let you take, I'll hand over the baton to you.
All right, thank you, Marshall. So we started with talking about who a man is and the office of a man, all the things that are expected of a man. Then we drew up different inferences on different matters on how a man is expected to react as against what society expected from the man. We're going to be talking about more about that, meeting different people, different men of different ages and different walks of life, telling us their own interpretations or their understanding of who a man is and what's expected of a man. But we're out of time right now. So from here, we'll have to leave to go do some other stuff. But we'll be back to pick up this same topic from where we left it, very hot as it is right now. And we'll give you more from the studio, Men's Boot. So from me, Sam, I'm saying thank you for watching. And
Yes, my name is Marshall Anthony. I'd like to say follow us on King's Chat, and you'll find out what we do when we're not on Men's Booth. And just in case you're wondering who a man is, he's a man, I'm a man. In fact, I'm a super dad.
Okay, I'm Jay Preach the Preacher, man. Thank you very much. I really appreciate this section. Like, I think I'm the youngest here, so I'm happy to be among the man. I'm also a man.
Oh, okay,
So-
we agree. We concur. We concur that you're mad. Okay, and my name, of course, is the ambassador. Thank you, and of course, I've said with God, you are the real man, of course.
Thank you for joining us. My name is Charles. Like I said before, sit and watch the Real Men's Book.
Yeah.